We are back this week, and we've seen a selection that Jason made last week, The Wraith with Charlie Sheen. And as always, I'd like to go ahead and give a synopsis of what the movie was about, just in case you haven't seen it. Maybe you have, and let me go ahead and do that right now. The Wraith, which is for free on YouTube, which is really cool. I didn't know there were really whole entire movies that were free on YouTube. So thank you for that, Jason. That was very cool of you. And
that's very nice of them. Yes.
Oh, it totally is. It totally is. This is a 1986 action thriller. Even though I would say it's kind of a horror movie too, a little bit. But it's the premise. It's a high school hero returns from the dead to take revenge against the psychotic drag racer who killed him. The murdered boy transforms himself into a high-tech spirit in black leathers, and I don't know why it says black leathers. It's just black leather, in black leather, and sets out to do battle with a gang of desert-based car thieves led by the man who destroyed him. And the main star of this movie is Charlie Sheen. So Jason, you recommend this movie, and I got to tell you, after watching it, I wasn't that crazy about it, but there were a lot of ridiculous things in this movie. So many ridiculous things, which I've never hint on. But with that synopsis out of the way, what are some of your thoughts on The Wraith with Charlie Sheen, and also what is it that made you suggest this movie?
Okay, so I have when this movie came out, I didn't see it in the theater. But I saw it, when it was on cable TV. I think it was Showtime, and I really dug it. I thought it was, of course, there's a lot of cheesy stuff in it, and a lot of stuff doesn't make logical sense. But it really connected to me. I thought, they have classic bad characters, and the ending actually has a little touching moment, which is nice. And then it goes back to a little cheese, but I enjoyed it. I mean, I think it's definitely not going with the wind or any classic Avengers Endgame or anything like that, year's best, but there's a little small part of this movie for me that it's always going to be in my heart. So I haven't seen it in a while, and when I saw that it was free on YouTube, then I thought, okay, I know you like 80s stuff, and this is a very 80s type movie with the music, so I thought maybe it's like borderline trauma, almost, I think. So this movie is very similar in terms of the plot to The Crow, the general plot. It's a very different. The Crow is much darker. The Crow is much, I think, a better made movie, but this, if you're just able to check your brain and don't think too much about it, obviously anyone can just say how this is bad about this movie, this is bad about this movie. Some of the acting is overacting. I thought the overacting I thought was pretty funny. The goons had funny names. Their names are like Skank, Rughead, Gutter Boy, Augie, and Minty, and they were pretty funny. The main bad guy is like, you really want to, they make it so easy to hate this guy because he's so bad, and if he did anything he does in this movie in real life, he would have been arrested years ago, right? I mean, it's like, how come these things aren't they're not taking care of their town? This is ridiculous, but it's an interesting movie. And they didn't explain everything. I kind of looked up a little bit and what the director said about a few things that they didn't explain, but anyway, did you see how that was rated?
Yes, no, you're right. The movie was rated PG-13. The movie was rated PG-13, definitely.
In terms of action, I mean, they have very, very well done car crashes, car explosions of houses.
I agree with that.
They dedicate
the movie. Yes.
They dedicate the movie actually to one of the camera people that were in one of the cars, and I think it overturned, and then he was killed. There's one person in this movie that was killed, and they dedicated the movie to him. So that's really very, very too bad about that, because you don't want anyone hurt or killed in any movie, but but they did dedicate the movie to him. Randy Quaid is in this. He's hilarious. His character's a little
And he's like
underdeveloped.
serious in this movie. He's not like normally like in his later part of his career, he was like a, comedic relief, like a lot of comedy roles. But he was like the sheriff in this video. The movie, like I said, I'm not gonna go, blow by blow for
Right,
the movie because I want people to go see it, of course. But it had me until the part where the Wraith, and we're gonna talk full spoilers here, folks. I mean, this is a
right.
movie
First,
that came out in 1986. You know what I mean? But the movie had me until like the Wraith shows up in the garage in the bad guys, let's say the gang's garage, and he starts shooting stuff up, and then like the visor comes off, and like you clearly see it's Charlie Sheen, and like nobody except for Rughead, which is played by Clint Howard, we're gonna get to him, you know what I mean? But
yes.
like uh nobody, like his face, like you can literally see his face, like you're not gonna tell me like the helmet is like covering so much that you can't identify that as Charlie Sheen in the Wraith's outfit. So right there it kind of like, and like he shoots up all their vehicles and nobody rushes them, or like it's true you got a shotgun, but dude, it's like five of you, you know what I'm saying? Like you can't rush this guy or whatever, But and then from there is when it kind of started to lose me. And like so like let's talk about some of the characters. And Nick
Right.
Cassavetes, 100%, him and the gang, they do so much of the heavy lifting in this movie. Like Charlie Sheen, if he has a page of lines, that's too much. You know what I'm saying? He
Yeah.
doesn't have a lot in this movie. He's hardly in the movie, But that's not a complaint. That's not a complaint. You know what I'm saying? But the bad guys do most of the heavy lifting, and the bad guys, they're ridiculous in this movie. Like you have uh these guys that look like meth heads, but this guy, like you said, Skank and Gutter Boy, and they're ridiculous. And he's drinking some kind of airplane fluid or something, and he's like, I'm tweaking, man, I'm tweaking. It's just, like,
It's,
ridiculous.
it's actually hydraulic fluid. I
It's
saw
so
that.
crazy. And then like you see him like spazzing out, and then I think the other guy, he looks like straight up meth head. Like his teeth were like all discolored and everything. Dude, what about a
And
toothbrush?
then, and I don't know, the guy who named Skank who drank the hydraulic
Who
fluid.
had a lot
He
of
also
lines too. Skank
he
had
also
a lot of lines.
he does. He also snorts up WD-40 like into his nose. He's like, "Oh, that was strong, man. That's strong stuff."
And you always see him like making all these faces. He's one of the best things in the movie. He as Skank guys are the best things.
Him and his brother. Who is his brother? Gutter Boy
Gutter
or
Boy, yeah.
friend? Yeah. The Gutter Boy is just totally like pure out of a trauma movie, Toxic Avenger. One of the guys who like teasing hey, I forgot what was the nerd's name in Toxic Avenger.
Oh, Melvin. Melvin? Was it
Melvin. Hey, Melvin.
Yeah, he's the first one to like turn into a coward when there's an authority figure, but he's like the main one antagonizing everybody. You know what I mean?
Right.
He's the main one like antagonizing. Oh yeah, do it, it's great. You know what I mean? Sherilyn Fenn, is that what her name is? Because I remember this woman. She was like so hot in the 80s, and you could see here like she's like gorgeous.
Fenn,
Like,
right.
yeah, she's
Yes,
really
yes,
beautiful.
yes.
Like even now, like
Yes.
I'm saying, like watching it with 2020 eyes and watching this movie back then, this woman is gorgeous. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But some of her
Yes,
decisions
yes.
are ridiculous too, though. Like she sees Charlie Sheen, and I mean, by the end of the movie, you realize that it's this character that she kind of had a relationship with, but like okay, so she meets this guy on a motorcycle. She's willing to go with him on the motorcycle instantly without even knowing his name.
Right.
That's thing number one. And then she doesn't have some kind of trauma or stress or some PTSD. Like she was with a guy. She was with Charlie Sheen before when he was another guy, and this gang killed this guy. And I guess there's like almost like very rapey vibes in this movie too. And like the women are treated like crazy in this movie. You know what I'm saying? So like, so she's willing to jump on a motorcycle with this guy she doesn't know. She goes on a date with him. She supposedly has sex with him in this water thing, and she at the end is like, "Who are you?" Like she doesn't even know who he is. And then when she finds out that he is who he is, like she's like, "Oh yeah, let's kiss." And like they kiss in the end. Like, dude, this guy like slaughtered a bunch of people. Like Oogie, she said, but Oogie, he lived right down the street from me. I'm assuming that she knew Oogie since he was a kid. So
right.
she's probably known Oogie longer than she's known Jake or Jamie or whatever. And like they kiss at the end, like she's celebrating. Like after everybody's dead, like dude, let's kiss again. And like if we could go into my place and have sex, let's do it. even if you murdered everybody that I know, probably longer than you. So I was like, Jesus Christ. So she's cool with Charlie Sheen being a murderer. And then the crazy thing is at the end of the movie, Charlie Sheen leaves the murder vehicle to his brother. And I was like, dude, like, you want your brother to go to jail? You know what I'm saying? It's just like, and I was just like, yeah, like, you're the best brother for leaving me. The car was dope. Like, even by today's standards, too, the car was really dope. But, like, yeah, you can have the car. You know, you could be blamed for my killings. You know what I'm saying? Um, and then that scene with the brother, I laughed in the end. He said, Jake, Jamie, and crying. I was like, oh, brutal. You know what I mean? So, like I said, the movie, the 80s, the 80s-ness of it was like super rapey vibes when it comes to the beautiful women in this movie. Women definitely having to show their tits. You're not gonna escape this movie without like, women. You're a woman working in this movie, and I'm like I said, this is just a thing of the 80s, which is not like compared to today's standards, it's totally deplorable. But
Right.
like if you're several, like at least I could count off the top of my head, like 4 scenes when you see tits, or like a girl is wearing like a little tank top, like a little short, like
Hey, let's just take it off. Hey.
it's like tits, you know. And
Right.
but overall, like I said, this was okay. Like it was definitely cringy. The story was not like I said, it lost me after that, and from then it went downhill. And then like Clint Howard and his hair. I mean that alone. It's a movie that just needs to be made by itself. That hair was incredible, dude. Like he was like this mad like scientist guy who you don't even know how this guy got with the group. But then again, like Nick Cassavetes had like this band of misfits. Like
right.
like
Well, do
this
anything,
town,
right?
yeah, like this town is so small, like anybody could be in this gang. You want to be in the gang? Sure. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't even a bunch of tough guys. It was just like a bunch of guys. Yeah. And then when the cops come, they except the varsity guy. The varsity guy was steady, but everybody else was like so loose. It's like you don't want to tell these guys secrets. You know what I'm saying? Because pressed under the hot lights, these guys will tell all your secrets. But like I said, the movie kind of dragged for me after that full scene in the garage. Because like I said, a lot of questions started to pop up, and I was like, come on, a little bit, you know. So it's true, like you said, this is a turn your brain off movie. But this movie was kind of like I would say it's like a 5.
It's half and half. Yeah.
Yeah, like I
5.
wouldn't,
Okay.
like I would, like only time I would watch this again is with friends such as yourself, so that we can make fun of it. But like, and maybe not even sit through the whole thing. But I wouldn't watch this again. But maybe like I said, I'm looking at this with 2020 eyes. Probably when I saw it with 80s or 90s eyes, like this was the shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is dope. Like talk about it, recommend it to friends. But with 2020 eyes, it's dated, has some cool effects. And this could be remade into something super cool. If you're ever talking about remaking this movie, I really think you could do something
It
very
could be done very well.
concept. Yeah, 100%. You could,
I
like I
think-
said, action, horror, thriller, like road, like even in the beginning, I got like Mad Max vibes with Nick Cassavetes a little bit. So you could like combine all these things to make something super cool now. But this movie was a 5 for me. The Wraith, Charlie Sheen, 1986.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we all have our different feelings. I definitely like this movie more than you did. I would say that, in terms of, yes, in terms of like, is this movie like a good movie, like that has logic and this and that? No, but every time I watch it, I have a lot of fun. I enjoy it, and of course, revenge is not a good thing, but you kind of root for it. I mean, I did anyway. I kind of root for him to get revenge because they did such an evil thing and they do so many bad things to so many people and they're not getting caught, obviously. So, kind of like The Crow, like, and The Crow is even darker. I'm thinking The Crow is like, he's really hunting these guys, Brandon Lee and his character. And then he's just killing them all like really, really darkly. But anyway, my score, I would say would be I would say an 8. I like this movie a lot.
Wow, 8?
But-
That's a big score. That's a big score. Yeah.
All the best, guys. And Paul, talk to you after this to catch up on things. And peace out.
All right, this is the Improve and Have Fun podcast, and we are out. Boom.